What's going on, guys? This is the Red Rogue, and I hope you're all doing well today. For this episode, I wanted to mess around with some double legendary stuff since they finally got the Unity belt onto the patch 9.2 PTR. So today, I wanted to goof around with Outlaw because I felt like it. So the combination of legendaries and effects that I've been wanting to mess around with is Resounding Clarity and Deathly Shadows, because frankly, I've never really messed with much of anything of Kyrian as Outlaw or really any rogue spec at all, and Deathly Shadows has always been kind of a memey legendary. I make no promises or assumptions that this is like the best combination or anything like that, so that's my disclaimer for wanting to look into this combination in this video. Outlaw is a very fast-paced specialization, if not the fastest in the game in terms of actions per minute. We also have a ton of natural cooldown reduction through the Restless Blades passive and the True Bearing Roll the Bones buff, so our cooldowns are often much shorter than they would appear to be just off of the tooltip information. With this combination of legendaries and tier sets and covenant abilities, we're going to go even further beyond what is possible for most classes in terms of cooldown reduction. This set is really most noteworthy in AoE situations, since we're going to be relying on Swolebird Mechanicos for some big cooldown reduction on our Kyrian ability Echoing Reprimand. For those who haven't messed with the Kyrian Covenant before, Effusive Anima Accelerator is a Mechanicos Soulbind trait that lowers the cooldown of your Covenant ability for every target hit, and for Echoing Reprimand that is a 3-second reduction up to a maximum of 15 seconds for every time you cast Echoing Reprimand. This brings Echoing Reprimand down to a 30-second cooldown from 45 seconds. Echoing Reprimand does a nice little bloop of damage when we use it, it generates some combo points, and makes one of our combo points a special Anima Charged point. Using exactly that many points will make your next damaging finisher act like it used 7, meaning it gives extra damage and extra cooldown reduction as if it had used 7 combo points. Combining that with Resounding Clarity, the Kyrian Rogue specific legendary, it'll make all combo points between 2 through 5 become Anima Charged, so that means we get 4 uses of extra beefy finishers each time we cast Echoing Reprimand. This in turn means a lot of extra cooldown reduction for things like Ghostly Strike, Blade Flurry, Adrenaline Rush, and most importantly for this little build, Vanish. We then have our second legendary, Deathly Shadows. Vanishing generates 5 combo points and gives a 15% damage buff for 12 seconds. We also have our best conduit, Count the Odds, which has a chance to give free Roll the Bones buffs when we use Ambush or Dispatch, and the duration and chance of receiving these buffs is tripled if the ability is used from stealth. Without boring you with all the math, basically in patch 9.2, if you have a maxed out version of Count the Odds in an empowered conduit slot, it will have a 99% chance to grant a Roll the Bones buff if you ambush or dispatch from stealth, so basically it's guaranteed. Our Tiers 2 set bonus will also generate a bunch of free combo points, as our Man Gauche procs, which is our mastery, will have a 25% chance every time it procs to give a pistol shot cast, which gives combo points. So you're basically inundated with combo points with this setup, which then means more cooldown reduction, which then means more vanishes, which in turn gives more free Roll the Bones buffs, and free combo points from vanishing, and a damage amp. Hopefully you'll get True Bearing buff, and it'll be even more ridiculous amounts of cooldown reduction on top of all of this. It's a pretty strong positive feedback loop, honestly. This all culminates into shaving off more than a minute from the cooldowns of Vanish and Adrenaline Rush, which means you're using them more, and that means more damage since you have your cooldowns being used more often. How much more damage? It's kind of hard to say, honestly. It definitely feels very bursty, especially if your cooldown reduction gives you good lineups of Echoing Reprimand, Vanish, and Adrenaline Rush simultaneously. The synergy of all of these effects have with each other is quite impressive and requires keeping an eye on your cooldowns even more actively than we already do, so in the heat of the moment, or however you want to say it, you could run the risk of losing out on ability usages if you're not using your cooldowns in the right order to get them back on cooldown. This is of course a more noticeable amount of damage when you're cleaving multiple targets, but the cooldown reduction still works out pretty much the same way in single target too, since our rotation virtually doesn't change at all other than throwing in a Blade Flurry every now and then. You won't get Echoing Reprimand off quite as often if you have less targets, since you're kind of relying on those extra cooldown reduction from the Effusive Anima Accelerator with Mechanicos, but yeah, it still all revolves into a lot of cooldown reduction. Fun factor, in my opinion, absolutely yes. If you like keeping track of things and knowing how much cooldown reduction you should expect from your moves depending on what buffs you have active. Damage output, it seemed pretty solid to me, though you do lose out a bit on getting to use Vanish to cheese mechanics in dungeons, but you kinda already have to do that when you're running Count the Odds anyhow. Is it better than Assassination or Subtlety? maybe a little better in less than 5 target stuff, but anything over that, it doesn't seem to make us do like Windwalker level burst or anything amazing like that, and arguably requires more attention than even just the 2-button cheese AoE that is Subtlety with Black Powder and Shuriken Storm. Heck, with their set bonus, it's like a 1-button rotation because you get so many Shadow Strike procs that you literally just hit Black Powder over and over and over, so yeah, very exciting, I guess. But the point of this video wasn't to try and reveal some super secret new BIS OP set thing, but really it was just to kind of mess around and have some fun with new builds that might be possible in patch 9.2. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. It might do some other ones like this for other specs too if I get around to them or if you folks are interested, but this is one that I've actively been using on the PTR quite a bit, so I figured it'd be something different to talk about. If you enjoyed the video, then feel free to leave a like or maybe a comment about what other Covenant and Legendary combinations you're interested in seeing. As always, my appreciation and gratitude to all of my viewers and especially my patrons, who all help make these Shiba Shenanigans possible. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the Red Rogue, and I'll see you guys around.